My name is Don Smith. I'm with SSI Consulting Solutions. Today I'm with Dan Gibson, one of SSI's process improvement and leadership coaching specialists. And we're going to be talking about leadership during the COVID-19 environment. So welcome, Dan.
Hello, Don. Great to be here.
So Dan, as you know, many businesses are starting to get back to work as the government relaxes the restrictions that have been put in place because of COVID-19. So from a coaching perspective, what advice would you offer to company leaders as they re-enter or enter this reopening phase?
First of all, Don, I think it's extremely important to recognize that we are not going back to normal, at least not yet. Until there is an effective, proven vaccine that is widely deployed, we are still in the middle of this pandemic. In fact, according to many medical practitioners, things may actually get worse before they get better.
Yes, there seems to be a lot of talk about the second wave possibly this fall.
That's right. Sadly, we're not nearing the end of this crisis just yet. That being the case, I would suggest that leaders try to adopt a very calm, steady demeanor during these uncertain times. The reason is that everyone, including your staff, your suppliers, your customers, are going to be stressed to some degree. And they, especially your staff, are going to be looking to you, their leader, for a sense of stability and direction. One of the ways that leaders can illustrate that is through a very methodical decision-making process. As leaders, we often work in a firefighting mode during the early stages of a crisis, but it's imperative to have the discipline to take a short breather, take a step back from firefighting to reassess the situation, considering all options and their risks, then redefine your plan and take clear, decisive action. Because visible decisiveness builds confidence in leaders and helps motivate your staff to tackle the challenges that are going to be confronting organizations.
Interesting. So what role does communication play during this reopening phase?
That is an excellent question, Don. It's been said that you cannot over-communicate during a crisis, and it is true that effective communication is vital. Although I would suggest that it's not so much about how often you communicate, but what and how you communicate. As I said earlier, going through this COVID-19 pandemic has been very stressful. People are worried about their health, about the health of their family, about their job security, and there's just this general uncertainty about the future that's weighing everyone down. Consequently, people are looking for signs of hope. As a leader, you have an opportunity to provide that hope through your messaging. Messaging that is clear, credible, and optimistic. But you need to be careful about your optimism. If you are overly confident and paint a rosy picture of a problem-free, incredibly bright future, that may not be all that reassuring. Similarly, being overly pessimistic is definitely not going to be very helpful. So you need to temper your optimism with the realities of today. You need to be authentic. You need to be truthful. You need to be transparent. If there's bad news, you should probably share it. But at the same time, you need to communicate some assurance that we can get through this together if we work together as a team.
That sounds like good advice, Dan. But what can leaders do if some employees don't appear to be getting on board with this new normal?
Yeah, I suspect that getting businesses back to operating on an even keel is going to be quite challenging in some cases, partly due to the lingering fear of getting physically sick and the psychological fear of the unknown. This situation underscores one of the most important aspects of leadership, and that is making your employees feel safe in their workplace. Of course, part of the solution is going to be implementing the appropriate safety protocols in the workplace, but it goes beyond social distancing. It goes beyond hand sanitizer and face masks. Leaders need to connect with their employees on an emotional level. They must acknowledge the personal and professional challenges they may be experiencing as a result of going through this crisis, and be prepared to provide whatever support they reasonably can. Displaying real empathy and showing employees that you truly care about their health and well-being can have a profound impact on their loyalty and commitment to the organization.
I'd agree with that. From my experience, being empathetic can be very helpful. Okay, so we've talked about what leaders can do for their employees. What suggestions do you have for the leaders themselves?
That is another really good point, Don. As leaders, we often see ourselves as supermen or superwomen. We think we can take on any challenge, solve any problem, but the reality is we are human too. We get stressed like everyone else, and in some cases, even more so. The problem with that is that stress can build to the point where it impairs our ability to think clearly and make the most appropriate decisions. The solution to the problem is to manage your own well-being. When you start feeling drained, make sure you take time to recharge. Take time to exercise, eat well, sleep well, spend some quality time with your partner or family, or do whatever else that helps keep you grounded and helps keep things in perspective. As I said earlier, this crisis is not over and may be with us for several more months. So it is really, really important to stay healthy, stay focused, and stay calm.
Well, thanks for your insights, Dan. Do you have any closing comments?
Well, obviously there's a lot more to effectively leading through a crisis than can be covered in a 10-minute interview. However, if leaders adopt a calm, steady demeanor, project tempered optimism, display heartfelt empathy, and manage their own well-being, I would suggest that would be a pretty good starting point.
Thanks, Dan. So for our viewers out there, thank you for watching. If you have any comments or questions, we encourage you to submit them in the comment section below. If you have any questions for Dan, the questions will get to Dan and he'll respond to them. And thank you for watching, and stay safe.